Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing today, Bob?
I am nervous.
I'm nervous?
I'm literally right now nervous, and I'm not sure why. I don't normally get nervous. We've done this for, 200 some odd episodes? It's pretty straightforward.
Is it because you're worried about change?
It could well be.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Brush. That's Bob Graham. And This is today's Antidote. This is where our daily broadcast, where we try to help business owners, leaders, organizational managers figure out how to move forward, how to take that next step, how to find that one thing that might help them through their day today, might help them tomorrow, or it might help them next week or next year. So as we go through the show and we'll talk about the topic and offer our one thing, we hope that you will share your comments and feedback and thoughts, because we know that will have an impact on someone else. And it might be the one thing they need to help them move forward today. So please feel free to share that in the comments, whether you're watching this live or if you're watching it recorded later on. So our topic this week is change. And maybe that's the reason Bob is nervous, is because we've got to talk about creating change. And like many of us, creating change is not an easy thing to think about. We get comfortable where we are. And so it can be nervous to think about change. So, Bob, do you want to talk about change this morning?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess part of what's making me nervous now that I think about it is we've been talking about this book, and you and I are having a discussion this morning about the book, and we're changing some things up possibly. And that causes me some pause. And I also, you may notice, the sun's hitting me differently today. And that's a change. And so I am being pounded, and I don't know the solution for that. And
you need that $20,000 sponsor to come in and provide the perfect studio for us. Just a little plug out there. Anybody who wants to get in front of our audience as a sponsor.
Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it, Tom. That's how we do this.
255 episodes later, figuring it out.
But if that were to happen, as nice as that would be, that would cause great change and upheaval. And I think that's what we see in our business, in our work, is things change. Budgets get cut. The customer that we thought was going to be our long-term customer decides that they're going to stop working with us. Businesses close. They merge. I've had situations where a merger has totally taken away a client because it's like, well, no, they already have this service. Oh, shoot. So I think we're constantly confronted with these challenges, yet at the same time, we want to make changes. So that's the part that I wrestle with. Change to me, I like change. When I get up in the morning, if today were just like yesterday, the day before, if this was Groundhog Day, I would lose it. It's one of the things I love about my business now is it's different. Every single day we face a new challenge. Every single day. But there are days when it just feels overwhelming because they're one after another. And I see that in a lot of people I talk to. It's like, oh, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. And so you don't have time to process them. And I think one of the things I've done in the past is if too many changes confront me at one time over the course of a day, I start to make snap judgments. And that's when I can get myself into trouble. It's like I'm not using all the knowledge, experience, and perspective that I had available to me. I'm just, no, that's wrong. No, don't do that. No, let's not do this, without thinking it through. And when I think it through, that's when change is most productive. That's when change creates opportunity. When I think about, wow, wait a second, the sun's different. It just literally just a second thought of this. The sun's different. If I turn myself 90 degrees in my setup, which I think I could do, I might actually have a better opportunity here than half my face being pounded by the sun. But I didn't think of that in the knee jerk at 7:59 and 56 seconds, and we were going live in 4 seconds. Like, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just trying to get through. So my first reaction was, oh, shoot, this is going to annoy me the whole time. Here it is, 6 minutes later, and I have a possible solution.
Well, and I think that goes to the topic of creating it, is do we create it, or does it become created for us? There's some outside influence that says, we need to do this, or here's an issue. You can either stay the same or you can change. And I think, that becomes, the challenge for people is, do they get the opportunity to create it? This is probably what the topic should have been. Create it versus it being forced upon you. And, I think there are benefits to both. And I think there is something about when you have to make change and when you make change because you're creating it. You are deciding that this is what you're going to do because this is going to be what's optimally best for your organization, rather than, holy cow, there's this huge issue, now we need to change. And I think that's maybe a little bit also what you're getting to is, are we reacting and changing, or are we being proactive and creating the change that we want, that we believe based on information that has impacted what's real for us, that we're able to move forward?
Change can also be lonely. That's one of the things I was thinking about over the last couple of days. Like when I'm working with a client and we're making change and I'm steering that change, sometimes you're on an island. People aren't understanding why the change needs to be made. They don't understand how it affects them. They're scared, they're worried, they're frustrated. And so you're the lone cheerleader. And certainly in my business, I've felt at times like I'm the only person who understands what I'm doing. And there's no one to talk to about it. I've certainly felt that. Since we've started doing these things together and you and me being much more closer, that's gone away. And I think that's one of the things that has helped me deal with change, is having you and other people that I can talk to and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this thing. What are your thoughts? Or can I just walk through this with you? Because I've got to hear it out loud to process it, to make sense of it. And I think for a lot of us, we hold our own counsel and we don't go solicit other opinions because it's like, well, if I'm in charge, I've got to be able to know how to make this change. That's why they employ me. And I think that's the fallacy that I've struggled through over the years and come to realize that my job is not to be the person who knows every answer. My job is to figure out what the right answer is in the situation, or what the best answer is in a situation.
Well, I think that's the sort of the fallacy, right? Is if you're a business owner, if you're a leader, if you're running a team, if you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, you do it all. And you're supposed to do it all. That's the whole, why would you be a solopreneur if you were doing it with multiple other people? And I think that that's what everybody expects. And I think those that have really found ways to be more effective at it have decided that you can't do it alone. They're going to create that change because I need other people to help me see outside of what I can see. And I think, when we try to go it alone in anything, it's extremely difficult. If I try to go and work out just by myself, I'm not being pushed the way I am if I'm with a group, or if I have someone else who's guiding me, watching me, helping me figure it out. And I think that's when change becomes challenging. Like you said, so often we try to create change alone. I'm going to sit here and make these decisions because I know what's best and move forward. And I think we miss out on a whole host of knowledge, experience, and perspective that others might bring. And so, as you think about creating change, how can you incorporate others? I was thinking of a situation, we brought in a whole new system. We revamped our website and brought in a whole new system at a role that I had. And I could have just said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like. Rather, I brought my team in who's going to use it all the time and said, let's talk through, like, what do we want this to look like? What might be the benefit of doing this, this, and this? And it gave me a chance to not only make change while being a part of it, but to bring others in as well and make them feel like they had a piece of the puzzle. You know, one of the things I talk about when I'm doing strategic plans, and I'm talking with leadership or the board is like, yes, you can create change and you can just drop it in on people. And likely they are going to be frustrated by it because they had no say in it. The opportunity to involve others so they feel like they're a part of it makes it less like, oh, there's leadership making changes again without even asking us. Rather, hey, you know what? We as a team got together and helped figure out what is the next best step in creating this change. And so I think, when we think that we're alone, is probably the time we need to find others to connect and engage with so that the change doesn't seem so alone. That you have others you've at least said, okay, somebody else is bouncing that idea off of and you're getting it. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for people is, like you said, you're hired to be the expert. And so rather than invest in themselves and find ways to get help in the areas that either they just can't see through because they're too deep in it, or they just don't have the knowledge or experience in. You could turn around and try to figure out your lighting, and you could ask somebody who has some expertise about lighting to say, yeah, you may think that's going to be better,
but you'll be blind.
Right. Did you think about this? And you'd be like, I never thought about that. Or the glare off of my glasses or the screen or all of those things that you are just thinking about. The sun's hitting my face. I need to change. So I just think that's, your whole comment about we feel like we're alone, I think is one of the biggest challenges we face is taking steps so we are not doing it alone.
It's also why you and I built all the things that we've built together, to bring together people so that they don't feel alone. But let's go to some comments, Tom. It's my favorite part. Steve says, good morning. Hey, good morning, Steve. And if your daughter Claire is watching, good morning, Claire. This from Tim: feeling overwhelmed by change is a natural state. It's about taking time to slow down, adapt when necessary, and be patient regarding the results. Boy, that last part's one that I struggle with, but that's a whole nother day, maybe a month. Tim also says, he's quoting me, there are times in my business when I feel like I'm the only one that understands what's really happening. I said that. Tim says that it feels that way a lot as well. And I think we all feel that way because we believe that we're the only one with the knowledge, experience, and perspective that makes sense to us. But
we've chosen that.
Yeah.
Correct? We have chosen that that's the path that we are going to, that's the way we're going to try and travel this path. Is I'm going to do it alone. I don't need, or I had never thought that, maybe someone else might be interested in better understanding me, how I want to run my business, what I'm trying to accomplish. And then we don't feel like we're the only one who understands. Now someone else is never going to completely understand it because what's real for us is going to be different. And if they are open to listening and being a part of what you're trying to accomplish, they will come about as close as anybody to understanding your business.
Which is one of the challenges, is finding the right people to talk to about your business. That's an area that I've struggled with at times. Some people want to tell you what to do. I don't want to be told what to do. I want someone to say, hey, have you thought about this? Like Steve's saying here, I'm happy to do a consult with Bob Graham about lighting, which is great offer, kind offer. And Steve will say, hey, what are you trying to do? What are you looking for? How can I support you? And if he goes, well, it's a $5,000 solution, I'm going to be like, Steve, I'm not spending $5,000 to fix the light for 2 months. And he'll be like, okay, well, here's a solution that fits your criteria.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. Some people want to tell us, oh, you got to do this. You got to raise your prices. I've talked to a couple of people in the last month or two who've been saying to me, all I hear from my friends is I got to raise my prices. Okay. And they go, that doesn't make sense to me because of this. Well, do you want to talk about that? And when we have that discussion, 2 out of the 3 cases, they started to raise their prices, but they had to talk through why that needed to be. And their friends weren't giving them that space. Right. And I think that's part of the challenge with change. You have to have space to understand it and appreciate it. Carrie says, good to see you, Carrie. Good morning, Bob and Tom. Happy, wonderful Wednesday. I love her upbeat messages. They inspire me. Yes.
I've missed her. Really we haven't seen her in a little bit. So it's great to have
know.
Her back.
I was thinking the same thing. And Steve says also, really like your thoughts, Tom, regarding change in organizations and how leadership can bring people in. I've been on the receiving end of poorly handled change, and it was ... less than ideal.
Well, because you have no say, right? That somebody else created it and they just said, here you go. Here's your new reality. So now, if you were at all nervous about change, especially if you knew that they were talking about it, how much time and effort are you going to spend worrying about what is somebody going to create that they are then just going to throw on me? And now my whole world could be completely changed because someone else didn't think about, they thought about how this impacted others. They didn't think about how does it impact my department? How does it impact my work? And, how that then moves forward. You can imagine when we went from, hey, you know what? We're going to go from all paper. Everything is going to be on the computer. Okay, great. And other people were like, well, wait a minute. I don't know.
Write everything on a notepad. Yeah.
Right. And then, hey, did you ever think about this? Like, if we don't need paper anymore, how do we take notes? How do we, how do I leave a message for somebody? All of those things that, yes, could they be handled? Sure. And oftentimes I don't think we think about it all the time because we have a different perspective. What's real for us is different. It's interesting, women's lacrosse is going through a lot of changes right now. And so often the changes are made at the coaching level. Coaches, because they don't like something and they're like, okay, we're going to do this. We think this is the way it should be. And then it just gets handed to the officials to be like, all right, go figure out how to implement this. Because likely they haven't thought about the situation of, oh, hey, this is the way we've always done it. And these are the steps we have to take. Now you're throwing in either one more step, one more thing to think about, which you don't think is a big deal. You just think it's what's going to be beneficial. And the officials are like, did you think about this? Did you think about that? And then, and I think that's the challenge when you kind of do things in a vacuum, either by yourself or whatever, is all you have is what's real for you. It's very difficult to step outside and think about what's real for somebody else.
Hey, Tom, speaking of stepping outside, why don't you share? We've got lots going on. Today at 1 p.m., Tom and I are going to be on Clubhouse. That's right. It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern time, our debut on Clubhouse. Now, I've done some research, Tom. If you want to be on Clubhouse, you got to have an iPhone.
Correct.
You also have to get invited.
Wait a minute. You did some research? Okay.
I did some research last night. Yeah, I'm getting ready for our debut. I'm very excited.
Did you hear that from anybody else before?
I did hear that from somebody else, but it clicked for me last night when I sent an invitation to a person without an iPhone and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working.
Got it. Okay. Just curious.
So if you're on Clubhouse, I know it's a kid's game, but Tom and I are going to join the world of Clubhouse today at 1 p.m. You can hop on into a room with us. You can ask us questions. We can have a see, I'm getting the lingo. It'll be a great time. You'll meet some people in there. I've been binging Clubhouse for the last 48 hours, and it's amazing what goes on there. It's just so open and honest and real. So if you've always wanted to talk to Tom and me in a candid environment, let me tell you, Clubhouse is the place to be at 1 p.m. Eastern today. How was that for a tease?
That was interesting. I like it.
And then we have a networking event on Thursday, February 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We would love to see you join us for this networking event. Tom and I don't do networking the way everyone else does networking. We really believe in building relationships. We really believe in starting the discussion, not pitching what you sell, but getting to know people so that you can get around to the discussion of how you might help each other. And we found some strategies that seem to work to get you where you need to be to have those follow-up discussions. So if you're looking for a great networking opportunity, it's totally free. The only thing you have to do is go into the Ring of Renegades. So if you haven't joined the Ring of Renegades, you need to join the Ring of Renegades. Go in there, you'll find more. You can sign up and you'll be hopping on to Zoom with us. And we're going to put you in a room with other people, like one other person. So you actually get to talk one-to-one. And you might meet I met 8 people one day when we did it. So 8 individual people where we actually got to share what was going on in our worlds. So if that sounds like a great thing for you, and why wouldn't it? That's next Thursday, the 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern. So Tom, I gave you some time to think while I did some shameless promotion. What was your one thing today? What's your one thing?
I think, when I think about change and creating it, is that, my one thing is I would recommend not going out alone, because I think you are going to miss out on perspectives that others might have. And even though you are the person who is supposed to be in charge, who is the leader, the owner, the solopreneur, the whatever it might be, you're the one making the decision. My recommendation is talk to others about it. Again, whether it's you're incorporating your team, incorporating others, peers, a coach, whatever the case might be. I find that when I make change just on my own without talking through with someone else, it's not as effective. And usually I miss something that either impacts me or impacts somebody that I'm dealing with. And so I think when you're thinking about creating change, think about not just doing it in isolation, because I think you'll miss out on some opportunities and likely create some obstacles that are going to get in your way. So that would be my one thing.
I like it. It's so counterintuitive, though, because we think that we're in a role, whatever that role is, whether you're the owner of a company or a manager of a team, that you've got to have all the answers. And what you and I are saying right now basically is, hey, you can't have all the answers. You're setting yourself up to have trouble if you think you have all the answers. So if you can accept that you don't have all the answers, then you have to go out and look for people that can help inform you so you can come up with the answers. And I think that's so different than we think, because when you get hired into a job, it's like, well, okay, Bob, can you do this? Yeah, I can do this. Have you managed? Yes, I've managed it. Okay, great. And then I get into the job and there's a challenge, and there isn't an ecosystem to support that typically. That's the other thing. You have to find it yourself. It doesn't come to you. So many companies don't mentor. And when you're a solopreneur, there's no mentorship to walk you through how to do those things. So you stumble and fumble and fight yourself until someone tells you, hey, there's a better way to do this one thing. And then you're like, oh, that's better. And then someone else sees you stumbling and goes, I had this problem. But we don't solicit that.
No, we don't think. I mean, again, that's not the way people look at things. They think of, okay, it's my job to do it. And I think I've always tried to realize, after watching some other leaders who are like, look, I'm just here to sort of facilitate. And ultimately, I've got to make the decision because I've got, a different level of experience. And if I'm not taking in all the things that are happening around me, there's the likelihood that I'm going to miss it because I'm looking at it from a different vantage point. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have a different one thing about change and creating it, please feel free to share it in the comments. And if you are not yet a member of the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, please join our growing community. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. Now, it is a private group because we want to create a space where people can share things like the challenges they face around change and find people who might be able to help them figure out and look at it from a different perspective. So just have to ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community. So with that, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades, maybe at Clubhouse today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And if not, we'll be back here tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone. And if you are struggling to find someone to talk with about change, our Renegade Success Network might be the place. You have the opportunity to have unlimited laser solution sessions with Bob or I to really talk through that change that you're trying to create. And you're uncertain if you've looked at all the vantage points and perspectives. So here's some more information about our Renegade Success Network. Have a great rest of the day. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.